Good evening, gentle listener, and welcome to Distractible, a WNF production. This week, Bob judges and indulges in podophilia and masterfully baiting whales. Wade reveals black market firefighters and has grave job opportunities. Mark gains prescient Pam points with a yarn about hiding in BS and exploding tons of stinking sperm. Yes, it's time for I Tried So Hard and I Got So Far, but in the end, it didn't even matter. Now sit back and prepare to be distracted and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome back to Distractible. Unless you're new here, then just regular welcome. And where have you been? It's fine. It's fine. We don't have to worry about that. This is a podcast hosted by myself, Bob, and competed in by my two friends and occasional hosts, but mostly competitors, if we're honest, Mark and Wade.
Hello.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
Oh, they're stuck in a loop. Nope, stop that. Pause. Mute. Whatever. If you don't know...
Hey.
If you don't know, this podcast is a competition. I'm hosting today, which also means I am judging, and my two co-hosts are not actually hosts because they're trying to win. Over the course of the episode, they will accrue points or something like points, and at the end, I will decide a winner based on points or maybe not, and the winner hosts the next episode, and then I'll get to compete in that episode against the loser of this one to show them how much of a loser they are.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a very uplifting, it's a very positive podcast. You know, it's a positive mental attitude kind of place we got here. But before we jump into the competition, or maybe it's all competitive, we usually like to do a little small talk. How are you, gentlemen? How are your feet? I don't know why that's what I asked.
Those are good.
Man, so good. Feet solid.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 on Wiki Feet or the Good Feet store or good
You had it
Feets.
right the first time.
Good feet.
Good Feets. Good Eats sister website.
That would be the best follow-up to Alton Brown having Good Eats. It's like a weird celebrity foot photo website called Good Feet, hosted by Alton Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Their toe licking good. No?
I don't know.
All right.
I can't even lick my own toes.
We can lick each other's toes.
Can we reboot the episode? Can we just just stop and get the rewind sound effect in there and then not talk about feet?
How are your hairs?
My hairs?
I don't know. I was trying to think of something neutral that's not hurt or injured on anybody that everybody has. That was not a good choice.
Just like with family members, I've lost a lot over the years. That's how my hair's going.
Okay, great.
Can we go back to feet?
Can we go back again and try once more?
Howdy,
How
howdy.
are your elbows? No, nothing controversial about elbows. Tell you what.
Oh, my weenuses are great.
That's fine. That's fine. That's what it is.
My weenuses are moist.
Well, my elbows are good, strong.
No accidental falling over, breaking your elbow situations.
No, why would that occur? I'm fine.
You know what, Bob? I'm going to go ahead and suck up for points here. I like your questions.
Haha, thanks, man.
It's not that his questions are the problem. It's you, Wade, and your responses to said questions that I have trouble with.
Wow, a competitor saying the other competitor's the problem. How original.
I love it. Points for Mark.
Thank you.
All right, fair enough.
More points for Wade for kissing my ass, though. I love that. Even
Oh,
more.
yes.
That is expected.
Anyway, great small talk. We've learned a lot. Really caught up personally. It's only been 36 hours since we were together doing this.
What do you mean? That was a week ago.
Yeah. Anyway, does anyone have you got any funny news stories or anything, Mark? I'm the host, but that's sort of your game.
Is that a request? I hadn't prepped any.
No, do you have your magical list of hilarious shit that Pam finds for you? Come on.
Our resident international reporter, Pam, hasn't updated the list since the last time I tapped into it, so there's not...
I don't have a Pam.
I've got some funny news.
Huh?
I got some really funny news to pretty much everybody, I think. Except Mark. Stadia's dead! How's that for funny?
Well, kind of stealing Bob's thunder there for the whole premise of the episode, aren't you,
Well,
Wade?
it's news. I found it. I get to deliver it.
I don't know.
I don't think that's true even remotely. We were all here 5 minutes ago. You know that, right?
But I found it.
You
found
it
someone else's work and I took
from
credit for it.
the message that Amy left in our group chat that says it, that we're all looking at. Is that what you're counting as you finding it?
No, I found it on social media. I didn't see it here. No, Amy found it first.
Amy did find it first. Yes, this is 100% true.
That's like where that info came from when we talked about that. Literally right before we were all like, all right, let's record.
It wasn't though. I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw it.
It was. I assumed you had seen that.
I know,
No.
that's what I thought too.
I was scrolling through Twitter and I was like, "Oh, guys, I got the biggest breaking story thanks to
Dude,
Tom Verge."
You're behind the times, man.
I don't ever look at our own Discord. Okay, I concede my points to Amy. It's fine.
That's fair.
I don't know. Amy takes the lead in a rare fourth party point concession.
Is Amy the fourth person in the Discord?
She's the fourth wall. We must not break her, I guess. Oh God!
Don't break Amy. Don't. First rule of theater: never break Amy.
All right, well, we're off to a great start. I do have news if you want it, but I don't know how much more derailed this episode can get.
No, I like it. This is how I like to host.
All right. Oklahoma man leads authorities on pursuit. Found hours later hiding in cow manure.
Is there a picture?
There's no picture.
Mark,
And literally
you
that's
clearly had to have misread the word Florida, man.
yeah, that's all the story is. Nah, and it's Oklahoma, unfortunately. Police in Nowata County, Oklahoma say 23-year-old Wolf October Berry what?
What was that name?
Initially fled from officers who were attempting to make a traffic stop for not wearing a seatbelt. Berry sped away from the officers, drove down a country road before crashing and continuing to flee on foot. Authorities say Berry was located later that day after hiding in cow manure for several hours.
Damn.
And that's it.
He must have been in some deep shit.
He almost made it to the 12-hour cutoff, too. If he had just made it 4 or 5 more hours, they'd have given up.
I bet the stars were flashing on the screen. They were about to go away.
Do you think they circled the pile of cow manure before they found him? You know, they were like, I know he's in there. I can see his head
Oh,
sticking
it's like when
out.
a parent knows where their kid is, they're just pretending not to.
Yeah, dude.
He must not be here.
Where could he be?
I think we lost him, but let's hang around for another hour until maybe we'll find him. Anyway, that's the story I got from award-winning reporter Pam.
Pam does such a good job.
Pam does a good job.
I concede Mark's points to Pam.
Fair enough.
I'll allow it.
Yay. We're going to have the next week off, man. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be me, Pam, and Amy.
Mark and I are going to go to, I don't know, the Bahamas or something.
Yeah, okay. Oklahoma, I hear it's good this time of year.
They got great shit.
Yeah, great shit.
Yeah, it's starting to cool down, too. So, you really need to find a place to stay nice and toasty.
That's why they call it Cold Lahoma. Let's move on immediately.
I was thinking through it, and I was just about to say, you know what? I think that's the best version of that. I'm gonna give it to you.
All right, I'll take it.
Because Oklahoma is way worse.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
That just sounds like a terrible drink.
Yeah.
But we have to do this part, guys. I'm sorry to tell you. We have to move on to the competition now where you'll tear each other limb from limb, metaphorically, and verbally just punch each other right in the face a bunch, probably. Maybe. Or maybe it'll be really fun. Oh, who knows? We'll see. Anyway.
I'm going to roll a d20 to stab Mark in the heart.
What? Why?
I rolled a 2. Did I succeed?
You stabbed yourself in the feet.
Ow!
Next time when I check in on your feet, you'll have a real story to tell.
Just like every competition, I defeat myself harder than anyone else can.
Yeah. I've learned long ago that I simply need to say nothing, and you will destroy yourself in due time.
I will joust us both.
All right. On to the topic of the day. The year 2013. I'm a young lad. Actually, the year's probably before that. I don't know the specific year. 2012, probably. I'm a young lad. I've worn glasses my whole life, and I've loved technology my whole life. I wish I didn't have to wear glasses, I guess, but also they kind of round out my face. My eyes are really squinty, so glasses kind of help with that situation. And I have kind of a strong brow, and I wish my eyebrows were naturally a little less bushy, but that's not the point. I have to wear glasses, and I love technology. I've always been really excited about smartphones. I almost had a panic attack the first time I got a smartphone. Parents got it for me for my birthday. It wasn't an iPhone. It was the Android version. And I was a big Android fanboy for a long time until I got an iPhone. Where was I going with this? Oh, right. It's 20...
This story sounds familiar.
It's 2010
It's
to 2012.
2012.
2012 again.
Anyway, suddenly, out of nowhere, the company that I'm a big fan of makes Android. Google announces a new product. April of 2012. Sergey Brin wore a prototype of a thing called the Glass to an event in San Francisco at the Foundation Fighting Blindness. May 2012, they demonstrate for the first time how you can shoot videos on this thing. Effectively, if you've never heard of the Google Glass technology, it is like a little camera thing with like a little display thing that sits right on the edge of your glasses. Or if you don't wear glasses, it sits right on the edge of a weird looking frame that doesn't contain any lenses but goes all the way across the front of your face. And it's I don't know if it's fair to say the first, but it's one of the first hands-free wearable pieces of technology with a camera and a display. It's like the future. It's like science fiction. You can talk to it. You can say, Google, take a picture, and it'll be all, Will, put in a picture sound. This shutter.
Oh, okay.
I was going to try and make it with my mouth, but you know what pictures sound like. Put that in.
That's a camera.
That's why I didn't do it with my mouth. Yep.
I love that camera model.
That's one of the 1800 models. You know, the
Steam powered.
yeah.
Anyway, I got so excited about this. Did you guys see Google Glass when it was like announced?
Yeah.
And the Explorer thing?
Yeah, that was 10 years ago. I've got like 3 pairs now. They're great.
Well, that'd be impressive. Anyway, for $1,500, you could buy one of these bad boys. I didn't have that kind of money when I was that age, so I never actually bought one. But man, did I want one. I looked at videos of people using it. I looked at all the features it could have. What?
We started Drunk Minecraft in 2012.
Yep.
So weren't you rich?
Oh, well.
Isn't that how that works?
Well, that's a secret. Don't
Gotcha.
Anyway, I coveted these bad boys. They had a ton of cool technology. They were tiny. They were the future to me. And I think a lot of people saw that and saw the future of like wearables and technology. At that point, I didn't even know if the Apple Watch existed.
Not at that point. No
I
way.
don't think so.
So like wearables were still coming and Google was like, sci-fi glasses, boom, take that. And yeah, they went on for a while. In 2015, technically the beta ended. They were like early access science glasses until 2015. And they actually lived a lot longer than I thought. But ultimately, as I slowly and painfully arrived at the theme of this episode, these glasses from Google turned out to be basically nothing but a big, huge, colossal failure on Google's part. And I maintain that it was mainly because they were way ahead of their time. Because I think if something like this came out today and was a little bit more refined and cool, I think people would go crazy for that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're in a time period where people are all about wearables and tech in your home and all of this stuff. It's way more common. Like tons of people have Apple Watches and Google Watches and there are all these smartwatches and stuff. I think it was just way ahead of its time. And it didn't quite maybe have the technology to stand up to what phones were capable of. So it felt a little bit weak, but it turned out to be a big failure. They sold almost 8,000 Google glasses.
Whoa, 8,000?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just barely any at all compared to most technology. And although the product did live on, they released like Google Glass Enterprise in like 2015, 2016. They released Enterprise 2 or Enterprise Edition 2 in 2019. It doesn't say that they stopped like supporting it, but I haven't heard a single thing in the news or anywhere about Google Glass since like 2014, 2015. It absolutely fell off the planet.
Or it was so successful the government stole it and they're secretly doing it with all their alien experiments and stuff and wearing their glasses and we're just not allowed to know.
They're secretly doing glasses?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Is that really what you said?
They're selling them to the aliens.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope so, because I would totally buy some Google Glass. So I hope the aliens bring it back.
To be fair, like there is government and industrial applications for these things that, or at least that's what they're trying to sell to. And if anyone knows anything, it's that governments and corporations are really fucking stupid, and they'll buy anything that gives them even a modicum of improved productivity, no matter how cumbersome or annoying or stupid, if it's fancy.
Okay, well, I was hoping you were accidentally setting this up to be a good note, but oh well. Sorry, Nepal. I was gonna point out that in June of 2014, very early on, still technically in beta, the government of Nepal adopted Google Glass officially into their as a piece of tech to supplement their, I don't know if it's park rangers or what. They have a problem with poaching wild animals because in Nepal they have the Chitwan International Park and other parks that are listed under World Heritage sites that house, rare and or endangered or at-risk species. And so they adopted Google Glass as a piece of tech for their rangers to use to coordinate their defense against poachers.
Nepal's not in Minnesota. That's St. Paul. Where's Nepal?
It's like in north of India, in that part of the world.
Oh, that's far from Minnesota. Okay, got it. Thank you.
It's not an American state or city, no.
Got it.
The whole country. I should have just said South Asia. It's in South Asia.
Wow.
I gotta work on my geography.
Well, I don't have anything against Nepal. I don't believe so anyway. I'm pretty
Like
sure.
I said, I don't believe it exists. I don't believe it.
I don't believe in Nepal.
It's like Santa.
What kind of name is Nepal for a
I
country?
don't believe in Nepal. I turned around.
Turned around and Nepal was gone.
Anyway, but it is one of those things where I don't know what the practical application of it is. I don't know how it increased productivity, but HoloLens by Microsoft is like a competing product. And I went to their website and they're selling it for, guess how much it costs?
$1,800.
The industrial edition costs $4,950.
Okay, what about the normal edition?
$3,500.
What about the discount edition?
$3,500.
What about HoloLens SE?
$5,199. Comes with an included hard hat.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so is it attached to a hard hat?
It is, yes. It is absolutely attached to a hard
sick.
hat. For safety.
That is the geekiest hard hat you could own.
It really is. You guys want to see it? It is the nerdiest shit.
I'm already Googling it.
It's in the Discord. Schwabam. Look at that. Look at the efficiency.
Now they just need one of those GoPro stick things coming out.
Oh my god.
That hard hat looks like it's hardly on the dude's head.
It's got a little thing in the back that's ratchet. Yeah, no, that doesn't look super comfortable. I mean, it doesn't look really heavy, but heavy is relative. I don't know how heavy your thing has to be on your head for it to wear your neck out super fast.
Aren't hard hats supposed to protect more of your head than just the very top of your tallest hair?
That's honestly a perfectly normal hard hat, Wade. I'm sorry that you don't know how hard hats work.
Then how low are that guy's ears on his head? No, there's no way.
That's a very standard hard hat.
Hard hat
It's not a helmet. It's not a wraparound thing. Hard hats
on head.
protect you from something falling from above you, not something that hits you in the side of the head. So they're designed to deflect stuff hitting you on top of your head that's falling from above you primarily.
All these images I see, there's a quarter inch between the hat and the ear. That's a full inch and a half.
Look, we're not here to critique the hard hat of it when it costs over $5,000.
Well, they could have at least given him the full hat. They cut out the hat to give him the glasses. Cheapos.
I like to imagine that turns construction workers into video game characters, and they just have a little line on the ground in front of them that's get some wood. He walks over there. And
I was imagining they were NPCs just walking into the wall.
Picks up an armful of wood, and then it's boop, drop the wood off at the construction site, and shows them a little line on the ground.
Yeah, they get a few cents out of their paycheck every time they complete something. That's 4 cents.
There's a bar that's the maximum amount they could earn, and then everything they do chips away at the progress bar.
God, honestly, that sounds great. You know exactly what your work to pay ratio translates to.
But it'd be so low.
If you work for 5 years, you can invest in experience points in either having a day off or getting paid another $1.
Well, okay, that's a little pessimistic, but yes.
You mean realistic?
No, I could see what you're saying, because that would be more satisfying. As you're working, the thing is like, oh, that's some money. Ooh, that was a big one. That's a lot of money. You know, it would be like, oh, you completed a wall. You framed in one whole wall in this room. 2 cents.
Yeah, of course.
Better hurry up.
Oh no, I got a time bonus negative modifier minus $2.
What if it could be like, okay, imagine it was a fair world where you actually had your pay based entirely on the work you did. It wasn't like a preset, you get paid 18 an hour to do this and you fill up the bar slowly like that. It was literally like each task in the work that you do, which is already categorized by the company, has a price attached to it. So even if you're doing something like just manually transferring data and organizing it and whatever, some boring office job, it had a price per thing and you could see it progress as you do it. Like, and then work was paid fairly for how much you did, and you only got paid as much as you did, but you could see it in real time. That could be fun. Interesting.
If we didn't live in the dystopia that is America right now,
Yeah, you're right.
I can understand what you're getting at, but I can't view that as anything other than the bad guys from Ready Player One just mining your soul and trading you a nominal amount of currency in exchange for pieces of your humanity.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, like if we were in another universe where stuff was, you know, equitable, that would be cool. I would appreciate what you're theorizing for sure, because then it would be satisfying. You would feel motivated to keep going, to keep doing the next thing.
It'd be hard to track like certain jobs, like emergency services. It's like if a firefighter's just sitting around waiting for a call, are they getting paid for that? Or is it like only when they get calls?
They have like some kind of perk where they get a base level of constant earnings that's really low. But then when action comes, they earn a lot all at once because it's such a dangerous activity they're doing.
So then there's gonna be like a black market of firefighters hiring people to start fires so they can make more money.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
They're like, God, we haven't had a good fire in like 2 weeks. I'm going broke here. I'm gonna make the call. Timmy, you know what to do.
Yeah, you got it, boss.
I got the fire, boss. Yeah, we had 2 very different Timmys.
Like the vision of everyone's in firefighter school, in firefighting class, and the teacher's like a middle school gym teacher, and they're, all right, half of you use your firefighters, half of you use fire starters. Get this going.
Instead of cops and robbers, we have the firefighters and firees.
Firers.
The fire lords and ladies.
Lords and fire peasants. The lords start the fires and the peasants have to try and put them out.
Do you guys remember, I don't know if you did this, Bob, but whenever Mark and I were going to Milford way back in the day, in like junior high, we had to take this like little job survey quiz. It was like 7th or 8th grade.
Sure.
And it like gave you a list of probabilities of what jobs were good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, we did that.
I got like, oh God, what did I get? I got like...
Fire watcher?
No, I got weird things. I had like grave tender, clerk, archaeologist, and like I don't remember. Like I don't remember what the other one was.
Grave tender.
They were like, yeah, it was like they were 5 things that were not in any way related that all came up, and they were all like, I don't like any of these options.
Pool looker at her.
Yeah,
Grave watcher.
Yeah.
Sand raker.
Old person rub downer.
hey, being a pool watcher and that being your job rather than being something you get arrested for. Sign me. No, don't sign me up.
Poop sniffer.
So you're from Oklahoma.
You guys ever hear the old joke about the diesel fitter?
The diesel fitter.
Guy's applying for a job at a new company, and the guy interviewing him is like, oh, I think you're going to be a great fit. I think you're going to do a great job here. This interview's, cursory. I think you're basically hired. Sounds great. And the guy starts working, and he's useless. He just sits there. They give him a job. It's like a machine company where he's supposed to be, putting pieces together, helping assemble mechanical parts for like engines or whatever. And after a couple days, the guy who hired him comes down to the floor and it's like, what the hell, man? Your resume was perfect. You seemed great. Why aren't you doing your job? And the guy's like, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm sitting here, but I don't understand. This isn't what I signed up for. And the guy who hired him is like, it said on your resume, you've been a diesel fitter for like a decade. And for anyone who doesn't know, a diesel fitter is like a guy who works on diesel engines and is good at these things. And the guy's like, yeah, I did. That's what I did. Last decade, spent the whole time. I don't think that's true. Tell me what you did at your job. And the guy sitting on the floor is like, well, I sat at the end of the pantyhose production line, and they told me every 15th pair of pantyhose, I should pull them over my head and see if diesel fit her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, now you could feel the pain that I felt every time my dad told that joke. Well, how long have we been? Okay, there is a topic for this episode.
Is
okay?
there?
Failures.
Right.
We're getting older.
Like that joke and Google Glass.
Uh-huh.
I want you to tell me about some hilarious failures. The more effort that went into it, the better. For example, Google Glass, millions in experimental research and development. It was actually done by Google X, which is Google's cool to push the boundaries tech sector sort of thing. Pretty big failure. Maybe not the most colossal tech failure that's ever happened, but pretty big failure. Nobody liked it. It was basically a joke. Find me these things. Tell me some good stories. It doesn't have to be tech, but big failures.
Okay.
That's the topic.
I got one. It's titled Google Takes on the Open Seas.
I've got one too. Can I give my title?
Yeah, go
Sure, we'll do it old school.
All right, my title. You locked that, right?
Well,
for it. That's fair. It's fair. It's fair. It's
Yeah,
fair, Bob. It's
I think
fair.
Wade
It's
gets
fair.
to go
Even
first.
I'm curious.
you get the title points. You go first, Wade.
So I'm going to take you back a couple years, okay? 1453 to be exact.
Whoa.
Okay, I remember that. Sure.
The Ottoman Empire is assaulting Constantinople.
Cool.
Constantinople, the Byzantines, they're entrenched. They're ready. No one is getting in.
Byzantines.
Byzantines are entrenched. Will, make me sound smart. No one's getting in, except somebody forgot to lock one of their massive gates. They simply open the door and flood in. Constantinople falls.
Wow. Not only did they lock the gate, they were like, well, that's locked. We don't have to watch that.
Literally, they left a gate unlocked, allowing the invading Turks to pour in and just annihilate them.
Right,
Wow.
this is a long time ago. Gates were big, right? Big, like metal trellis sort of thing, or like big, enormous wooden door of some sort.
I imagine the lock is more than just a little turnkey. I imagine it's something like pretty big. I don't know, like a big wooden thing you slot in. I don't know, but I imagine there's something pretty obviously missing with a giant locked gate.
Yeah, it would have to be something where it's like it is the physical brace that would hold the big doors together. And as soon as people were like checking, is this a push or a pull? Whoa, it opens. They were through. They flooded in there.
Yeah, it's a constant problem for invaders back in those days. You get up to the gate and you're like, they never label these. Is this a push or a... But God damn it. I can't tell if we're pushing and it's not going to go or if we're pushing and it's just locked. How do we know? Big holdup, big problem for lots of invaders
Real tough, real tough.
who yell about their problems kind of like Seinfeld.
I mean, I could have gone in depth with the whole story, but I felt like that was a pretty big lapse in protection there. They had a great plan, really entrenched. Gotta lock the door though.
That does seem like a pretty monumental fuck up.
To be fair, they probably had a lot of, I don't know how many, I mean, it's a pretty big city, I think, at least I imagine it was, and probably had a lot of gates, a lot of entrances, so
Yeah, but like...
probably an easy oversight, but a pretty big oversight.
Maybe it's harder than I'm thinking it is, but if you're under, siege, if you're defending the walls of your city, locking the gates is one of the only couple things you really have on the checklist, isn't it? Like, what do you stand at your posts inside and watch and make sure the door's locked?
I would think.
And maybe fire back with your catapults or whatever.
No,
defenses you might have. I don't know.
No.
Do you forgive their mistake, Mark? You don't think it's that big
It
deal?
happens. And also, what's the odd that it was an inside job? I mean, it could also be like someone paid someone to keep a certain gate unlocked and they just got away with it. Maybe it was too embarrassing to think that someone betrayed them. No, actually, it would be too embarrassing to leave it unlocked. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Just a prankster was like, I'm going to unlock this. They locked it. I'm going to unlock this. What an embarrassment. Oh, also, we're all dead.
He had like a stone tablet and a chisel, and he was like taking a selfie with his stone tablet while doing it. Like, epic prank.
Man, taking a selfie used to take days.
He was so busy taking his selfie, like he couldn't even pay attention to the door.
It was actually like a couple of guardsmen who were like, wait, we're defending the city. Let's get a selfie of this. They're sitting in front of it with the hammer and chisel, like, us locking the gate. Slammed open, and the invaders just come right in.
And then they're still like, oh god, they're coming in. It's like, oh, it's still developing. Ding, 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 ding.
Wait, change it. It looks different.
No, delete that one.
Just smash it with a big hammer and just start over.
Well, bad job, Constantinople.
Very bad. Very bad.
Let's go to the future.
All right.
Talk about Google and the oceans. They didn't have either of those things in the past.
So, yeah, oceans didn't exist until about 1832, as we all
Everyone
know.
knows, yeah.
Google didn't exist until about 1843, soon after oceans. Google and oceans very closely tied together, as we all know. So this actually is a mystery. Google once built not one, not two, but 4 custom floating barges between the years of 2010 and 2012, intended to be used as, quote, an interactive space where people can learn about new technology, end quote. Possibly as luxury showrooms for Google Glass and other products on an invitation-only basis. Google halted work on the barges in late 2013 and began selling them off in 2014. So to put this in perspective, when I say barge, I'm talking about an enormous shipping container. Not as huge as some of them are, but they are in the range of about 250 feet in length and 72 feet wide, with a gross tonnage of about 2,000 to 2,500 tons of pure steel weight. Why they made this, or why they thought this was a good idea, or why they thought a floating barge was the proper way to bring Google Glass or any of their products to the world is still a mystery to this day. I don't know who authorized this project in general. It seems like the brainchild of something that a mad scientist would conjure up, like between making your evil lair on an active volcano, right up to there in the Arctic in the most inhospitable place, 4 different huge barges just to bring people on and show off.
The details in that are really what get me.
Mm-hmm.
If Google was like, oh, we want to have, they're in Mountain View, which is really outside, but really close to like the Bay Area, right? So they're close to the ocean. They're close to San Francisco, big city, lots of stuff happening in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were like, we want a barge so we can like park it somewhere in and near San Francisco, because real estate is expensive and hard to come by, but maybe they have a good spot where they can put a barge as a thing where it's like, come to San Francisco, see our cool exclusive barge thing, just, as a way of like dealing with that. Okay, weird solution, but okay. Why did they start with 4? They were so sure the barge thing would be huge. They were like, fuck it, buy a bunch of them. These are going to be great. Like, what?
That's why there's so many theories that what Google said was a bullshit excuse as opposed to the actual intended usage of it. Because one of the main theories was that it was going to be a data barge. Basically, they were going to have a floating server that could float around. And I think this was in conjunction with Google's Project Loon and various other connected world kind of ideas, so that you could have the data centers wherever you would need them, and then probably like locally deploy a fleet of balloons to connect internet and spread it around. This was in seriously, well, maybe not seriously, but like this is the theory because Google's entire idea was just like the internet must spread and we must be the ones to bring it to everybody. That's why they think that there were 4, because servers could be rapidly cooled in the ocean. The ocean water, cycling it out would be an infinite supply, an infinite thermal bank to dump heat. You just pump water in, make sure none of it spills out of the pipes, but you pump water in, flood it across the radiators, and dump it right out the back. The move would naturally cause the water to flow, and there wouldn't need to be a lot to keep things cool, which is one of the biggest problems. Energy would be provided by wave energy systems or the giant diesel generators on those barges anyway. So it's like it could have been something. But either way, at some point, someone in Google was like, this is a fucking stupid idea, just like the hot air balloon internet idea was dumb. Let's get rid of that. Like, I don't know what the decision process. I think it's got to be like a council of elders style situation, where you walk in, you get the 5 big chairs in the darkness, 1 big chair in the center, and you got to appeal your case.
Cigar smoke coming out, but you can't see their faces.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Like the elusive man almost from Mass Effect.
Yeah, exactly like that.
I love that. Wave generated energy is actually really interesting. And I think it's in a different place now than it was a decade ago, probably. But have you guys seen, I'm going to circle back to the Google situation, but have you seen the wave generators where it's basically like a series of tubes, and at the top is like a turbine, like a fan blade thing that when it turns, it generates electricity, and then the water is just allowed to come in and out of the tube, and it creates air by the motion of the waves that turns the turbine that generates electricity.
I have not seen any recent developments, but that does sound super cool.
And there are other forms of wave generators using the, up and down motion and floats and different things. It's very cool because it's, aside from the wear on the moving parts of the thing itself, it's actually, I think, a pretty efficient and consistent way to generate electricity. It's very neat. And so I could absolutely see the idea of like a barge that's largely self-sufficient or completely self-sufficient. Maybe it was a different time back then, infrastructure-wise. Why is the data center's location as important? Why can't you there are so many cables across the bottom of the ocean and satellites and stuff. Is that better? Is moving a barge with a huge data center on it better than just giving people connectivity into the existing infrastructure?
Probably.
Not that you would know. I just feel like that's an insane thing.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, probably.
Why?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No clue.
I don't think places that have trouble connecting to the internet or don't have connections to the internet are like, it fucking better be gig speed. If you give me that DSL shit, I'm not even going to use it anyway. I don't know if that's a huge issue. I feel like satellite internet's pretty effective. It's not the fastest. But also, to get back to Google, I like your the council theory, but I also like the idea that they just have a room somewhere with a bunch of monkeys that they just take care of and pamper. And the monkeys just hammer out ideas. And 99.9% of them, people look and they're like, banana-shaped cell phone. Well, maybe. I don't know. But then
the boss has ordered it, better do it.
The barge thing came out and some person reviewing the ideas was like, maybe I better bring this to the corporate. The corporate. The corporate. The corporate needs to know.
Yes, you've reached the corporate.
I don't know, man. That's a wild one. I don't know what resource you're looking at. Is there any idea how much this costs? Barges cannot be cheap.
I actually have no idea, but it has to be in at least the tens of millions. Building something of that scale with the functionality that it needed would be astronomical. How much does a shipping container cost to build?
Do you mean like a container ship?
Yeah. Container ship. Sorry, you're right. That would be very different. I got different results.
$8,000.
Okay, average price for a geared 500 TEU was $10 million, but higher ranges, 6,500 to 1,200 TEU. I don't know what TEU means. What does TEU mean? TEU.
Also University.
TEU? TEU.
20-foot equivalent unit. So that's how many 20-foot containers it can carry.
Okay. So something that could carry 9,000 of them is about 1,200 feet long. So this is in the 1,000 TEU range. It would probably be about 20 million per ship to make. So this is at least $100 billion project.
Which for Google, I'm sure they didn't even notice, but that's a pretty good fuck up.
That's a pretty big fuck up.
If I'm comparing these stories head to head, I have to say, I don't know what the valuation of the city of Constantinople would be adjusted for, modern currency values or whatever. Probably pretty valuable. This is a very large city. I mean, it still is a pretty big city, right? It's Istanbul now.
Istanbul.
I don't know how these compare. I think the Google one is funny because it's completely insane and they really chose to do that. Whereas the door being unlocked is just an unbelievable fuck up that no one did on purpose.
Or it was an inside job. We don't know.
True. That's true. I hope they got paid well and weren't just killed like everyone else when the invaders got inside.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
It's a thing I always find funny in stories around that are similar to that one where, it's in some historical time period and a person is like, I will betray my city, but it's okay because the random soldiers who come in from the enemies will know that I'm the guy who did the thing for them. They won't hurt me. Really? You did a deal with 4 people who are not going to be here when an invasion happens or whatever.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're safe for some reason?
Yeah, and even if the first guys see that, that guy let us in, in, the guy 1,000 people back is gonna come in there and be like, who do I kill? That guy's standing there.
Yeah.
He's got no weapon.
Unless there's a way for him to like leave through the unlocked gate before they invade.
How? There's no army.
He just walks out the gate and is like,
I don't know. I don't know what the gate was like. I don't know if it's just like a doorknob or if it's like a big pull rope or I don't know.
I'll be back, guys. No, I'm just the king was like, get me some milk, and the cows are out here. They'll be back.
Our gate guard went to get milk and he never came home.
I think he might be betraying us. I'll go find him.
He'll come back eventually, right? Step gate guard.
What?
He leaves, and then another guy comes like, hey, I'm your step gate guard. I know I'll never replace original gate guard, but if you ever need to talk.
And I brought milk with me.
Anyway.
I have more.
This is a surprisingly tough one. Maybe I'll withhold the points.
I have more.
We'll go another round.
I've got more stories. I got more titles.
Give me some titles. Wade first.
All right.
Me first? Okay. Whoops. Guess I'll die.
That's pretty good.
Okay, well, it's well established that we know that I like that title for things, but
Mine's just, and boom goes the dynamite.
I like both of these pretty similarly, and out of fairness, I'm going to let Mark go first this time.
Good.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. So mine's a pretty simple one. May have been mentioned in the past before, probably not the feature of an episode, but once upon a time, there was a whale on a beach. And then a few days later, there was no longer a whale on that beach. Now, the story in the interim is as follows. There was about a 45-foot long sperm whale that washed ashore on the Oregon coast. And it was looked at and determined to be too heavy to move because the sand was too soft. They couldn't get any kind of like heavy equipment vehicle out there. It would have been extremely difficult. And the problem is when you get a creature of that size, a 45-foot long whale, as it decomposes, it starts to smell really bad really quickly because of the sheer amount of stink that it could possibly produce. So they thought, we'll blow it up with dynamite.
Obviously.
And then it'll be cleared out and the resulting pieces would be small enough for animals to eat. And the circle of life, it's like the Lion King all over again. Well, then comes in a man named George Thornton. Now, George Thornton, if you want to imagine this man, imagine the demo man from TF2, really angry, really drunk, one leg, one eye, and just like dynamite strapped to his body because he was chosen to be the supervisor of how to blow this up because he was an engineer. He was also a military veteran with explosive training. So he thought, it might not be a good idea to use too little because we don't want to accidentally not do this.
Sure.
Oh, wait, no, I'm wrong. This guy actually was not the demo man. Oh. He was the lady who's trying to keep all them in check. Paulson, Pelodian, Paula, TF2.
What?
Paula.
I don't know enough to...
Miss Pauling.
Okay.
Miss Pauling is Miss Pauling because I misread this. A charge of 1/2 short ton of dynamite was selected, which is 450 kilograms. George Thornton said that might wait. No, sorry, stop, back up. George Thornton is the demo man. Aha! There was a military veteran with explosives training. Miss Pauling was on the scene. George Thornton is the demo man. And the military veteran said that the planned 20 cases of dynamite was far too much. They had 20 cases of dynamite, and he said that instead 20 sticks of dynamite would have sufficed, but his advice went unheeded. For reference, 20 sticks is about 8.5 pounds of dynamite. The planned amount...
20 cases is how much?
The planned amount... Okay, so it's 3.8 kilograms for 20 sticks. They used 450 kilograms of dynamite. On November 12th at 3:45 p.m., the dynamite was detonated, and the explosion was so unbelievably powerful that large pieces of blubber landed near buildings and parking lots like hundreds of feet away from the beach's location. Cars were crushed by the sheer amount of whale that was blasted into the air. And then literally the explosive expert's brand new vehicle purchased during a quote, get a whale of a deal promotion in a nearby city was flattened by a chunk of falling blubber. Later that day, Thornton told the Eugene Register Guard, quote, it went just exactly right, except the blast funneled a hole in the sand under the whale, and that some of the whale chunks were subsequently blown back towards the onlookers and their cars. And thus, the story of the whale on the Oregon shore ends with a bang.
I imagine the guy who was given the advice to only use 20 sticks walks up and he's like, well, look who was right. And everyone's like, shut up, Carl.
So I have one question that I don't know if the information is good. Is the whale, when this is all beginning, is the whale dead before they decide they need to explode it? Or is the whale just laying on the beach like, hey,
help, please, God, help me now.
Can you roll me back in? And the people are just like, we gotta explode it. We gotta get rid of this whale.
And this whale knows English enough to be like, oh, wait a minute, hold on now.
The whale's the old guy from Monty Python. I'm not dead. I'm feeling better. I feel happy.
So presumably it's already dead, but only presumably. Or maybe not only presumably.
Yes, the stench would suggest it was dead.
Or it didn't bathe.
You could be right. I'm no whale hygiene expert.
Why would I need to bathe? I live in the giant bathtub. Terry, there's a difference between getting wet and using soap. You gotta use this soap, man.
Who's talking to the whale? Is it another whale?
It's like a sea lion or something. It's like his buddy.
It's just, it's not a Disney movie. What's the movie, the company that makes Ice Age? It's one of those movies.
DreamWorks? Pixar?
DreamWorks? No, it's different. Skyfall Entertainment, something like that. Doesn't matter, guys. Doesn't matter.
Do you think they warned the surrounding areas that they were doing this, or do you think they just got this all together and were like, yes, perfect?
No, there was a promotion at a car sale. It was like the whale of a deal thing. That's real.
Well, they knew about the whale, but do you think they sent out like flyers like, hey, we're gonna make a big fucking explosion on Wednesday afternoon, just so you know, just so you're not afraid the like Russians are attacking or something?
I think they did because there were like observers. People were watching this. It was clearly an event, and the established cordon of safety was not anywhere nearly far enough away from the blast. So not only were like chunks thrown, but smaller and a wash, like an explosion mist of whale debris rained over the onlookers.
It was like Gallagher's whale show.
There's probably one guy who like really loves whale debris who was just really having a great time while everyone else was miserable.
What? How would you come to
you know whale debris guy was there?
You love whale debris.
I mean, he probably discovered it there, if anything.
Something was awoken in him that day.
Everyone's screaming and freaking out, removing blubber from their eyes. This one guy's just like, fuck yes!
He tries to play it cool at first, so he's like, oh no! Oh no!
Oh God! Oh, this is
God.
so gross.
Do it again!
Oh no, hope they don't do it anymore.
Spends the rest of his life trying to bait whales to get washed up on beaches. Yeah, what attracts whales? How do I get whales up here?
Puts a carrot on a stick. He's like, please, come on.
Yeah, whales, notorious carrot eaters.
Whales are like ocean horses.
Yep.
Sure, I'm not going to question that at all.
Good.
Me neither.
Excellent.
Whales are like ocean horses. Nope, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to leave that one alone.
Perfect.
A classic tale. That doesn't seem like that crazy of an idea at its core. I just don't know how someone who supposedly is an expert in explosives concludes that that's the correct amount to use. That seems like the mistake.
They probably saw the opportunity to make a big ass explosion. They were like, dude, I'm doing this.
Just some guy was like, I can convince them I'm an explosives expert and we can do whatever I want.
Puts on a mustache. See, I'm Paula Dean from the Team Fortress 2.
Paula Dean.
I don't know what you said. But that's what
I know, man.
Oh, hey, y'all, I think there's a spy around us. Paula Dean.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's Southern, right?
I don't know.
Good story, Mark.
Thanks.
A classic explosion of a whale story. We all have those.
We all do.
Wade, what was your title?
All right, I'm going to make mine short, sweet, and to the point. My title was Whoops, Guess I'll Die. But I want to get to my last one. I've been saving my favorite one for last, so I'm going to do this one here. Let's go a little bit forward in the future from the 1400s to the year 2000. You guys remember 2000. Blockbuster was still in its prime, and Blockbuster's CEO had a meeting with an upstart DVD mailing company called Netflix. Netflix wanted to sell to Blockbuster for $50 million, and the Blockbuster CEO apparently tried really hard not to laugh them out of his office as he said, no thank you. We'll be fine without you. And fast forward to 2022, Netflix, while people are upset with it right now, is still worth over $32 billion, and Blockbuster is just a memory in us old people's minds. In a similar fashion, a company called Yahoo, you guys remember Yahoo?
Oh,
Yahoo.
yeah. I love Yahoo.
Had chances to buy both Google and Facebook at different points and declined both companies. So, where are those companies now? Whoops. Guess they died.
Hey, Yahoo still exists.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it does.
They do stuff.
Blockbuster, I think, has one store somewhere.
Yeah, it's not. Blockbuster is actually dead. The Blockbuster, the world's last Blockbuster that exists or whatever, is like, it's not a joke. They take it seriously, but it's like, they do it privately. They just bought a bunch of Blockbuster shit and still run a store. It's not a thing. But yeah, no, that's, just seeing those now, that's very funny.
Yeah.
But I would imagine companies in the position, like Yahoo was at the top of the search engine game, maybe not a decade ago, 15 years ago.
I had forgotten that Netflix started off as DVD rental. I remember seeing like the little machines outside of like the stores where you could go and like put some money in and like get a DVD to take home.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that until I was reading up on it again.
Yeah, I never did any of it. I never rented anything.
I never rented one either. I was like, I'm just going to go to Blockbuster, dude.
Yeah.
My dad was a very early Netflix adopter, and he had like the subscription where it's like you could have two and you had to return them at a certain time, and when you return them you'd get the next one. It was like library stuff, right? You'd have like a queue of things you want to rent, and when you return one you could take out the next one on your list or whatever. I want to say we had Netflix in like 2005 or 2006.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to use Yahoo to Google this.
I'm going to use Yahoo to Google this.
Listen, it's not Yahoo's fault that nobody Yahoos anything, okay?
Have we forgotten the other word for Google this is search for?
No, that doesn't sound stupid.
Oh, okay.
I'm
My
going to
bad.
Alta Vista it. I'm going to ask Jeeves about this one.
I'm going to plug it into my Stadia.
Okay, so Netflix DVD service, their mail to your house DVD service, apparently started in 97.
Oh, really? That early? Okay.
That's wild. Maybe that's just when the company was founded officially, but like that's earlier than I even thought. So
There was like one person who had some like, I don't know if they had DVDs in 97. They probably had some VHS tapes.
they did.
They did.
DVDs started in, okay. I thought
They
DVDs
didn't
were like
send
closer to
VHSs to anyone's houses, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's like one paper boy who's like, his dad's like, hey, Uncle Tom paid $5 to rent this video. Can you just drive it over there? He can return it and get another video afterward if he pays me like 10 more bucks. And the kid's like, I got an idea.
What? Clear. What'd you say? Clear your throat.
That's how
I didn't hear
kids
you.
start. I got an idea.
Now, son, I hate it when you talk like that. Can you just...
Sorry, Dad.
Sorry, Dad. I just want to make you proud, Dad.
That's what all young CEOs sound like. They've all got the same voice.
But seriously, though, it must be so hard when you're a company that's on top of whatever your business is. I can't imagine how many times you see stuff like that come across your desk where it's like, oh, this new startup is kind of taken off.
Yeah.
You want to buy a Glimp Glomp for $30 million? It's like, no, those guys are idiots.
No, I want a Glimp Glomp. That sounds cool.
I mean, it does sound cool, but they normally don't. It normally sounds stupid.
For every big thing like that we hear about, there were probably 100 companies they turned down that they rightfully turned down.
Yeah.
So they look stupid in hindsight for like that one decision, but we also don't see all of the ones they made the right decision on.
There's a lot of Quibbies in the world. for every Netflix, there's at least a few dozen Quibbies.
Yeah, probably more. And even though Quibi is on my list, I have another story here if you want it.
Oh,
I've got another one too. Are we titling?
Okay. Keep going, boys.
All right, I'll go first this time. My title is Fun Times in Cleveland Today.
Mine's not that good. Mine's just shit. Where's the key?
Mark wins this one. Did you know I like those videos that much? We've talked about this.
I love those videos that much.
I fucking love, if you listeners, if you've never listened to the Cleveland Travel Bureau promotional videos on YouTube, you should check them out. They're very funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have the stage, Mark.
So this is taking place in Cleveland. Many of you might have heard of this story, but we're talking about the great and calamitous Balloon Fest of 86. And for those of you who don't know what Balloon Fest is and wondering, when's Balloon Fest coming back? It never will. It wreaked havoc on the ecosystem for years untold. But what happened, you must be asking? Well, Cleveland is well known to be Cleveland, and as such it has a reputation for being incredibly depressing and having nothing going for it. This still holds to this day, but in 86 there was a shining beacon of hope for Cleveland, and it's such a fun coincidence because the anniversary of this event was merely 2 days prior to the recording of this particular episode, which will incredibly date it for everyone that is listening. In September of 1986 in Cleveland, someone, I forget who, it looks like the local chapter of United Way, which is a charity organization, I believe, decided that they wanted to set the world record for most balloons released in one go. And where better than Cleveland? It was intended to be a harmless fundraising publicity event, but the balloons unfortunately did not cooperate on that particular day, nor would they have ever cooperated on any particular day when you see the pictures of what 1.5 million balloons looks like when released into the air.
No.
Just for a moment, just like try to contemplate the sheer number of plastic rubber balloons that are just launched into the sky, all with streamers of various different colors. But then know that the footage that was recorded is still 1986 footage, so it looks very desaturated, grained. It looks like an amorphous blob of horrific nightmares that are sailing through the sky like some ethereal Cthulhu-esque horror that creeps its way across the sky. It was so thick, it literally blotted out the sun for a great deal of time for the initially very excited and then soon very horrified onlookers in Cleveland. It was not a harmless event at all, and it actually resulted in casualties. Two fishermen, Raymond and Bernard, who had gone out on September 26th, were reported missing by their families on the day of the event. Rescuers spotted their boat was anchored, but they searched for the two fishermen in an area that was described as being an asteroid field of balloons, because once they go up, they must come down. And they came down not over the Lake Erie, which is a very, very big lake. It would have been just as bad for them to go out there. No, it circled back around and then rained down on the entire sweeping area of about like several hundred, maybe even thousands of acres of land where these were found. Unfortunately, the two fishermen, their bodies washed ashore, and the Coast Guard suspended its search on September 29th. The amount of damage that was caused is unknown, but United Way settled, I believe, from a lawsuit for the fisherman's family for $3.2 million. However, the actual cost of how much it took to clean up everything and the time it took is unknown. And even to this day, you can still find balloons strewn about the greater Cleveland area.
That's so insane.
It is.
While you were doing that, I also looked up the video. Mm-hmm. It literally looks like what they make CGI, like villains and monsters and stuff, look like now.
Yeah.
It had the way when they initially release it, the way it engulfs the building.
Yeah.
It's like a skyscraper, and the balloons are just like,
yeah.
And it has the aesthetic of a terrifying calamity that's happening.
Yeah, it's CG artists wish they could have done it like that. It is truly terrifying. The scale of it just, you cannot comprehend. You have to watch the video. My description does not do it justice.
So I know it was a different time, but it's not even that different of a time. This happened in 1986. That's almost 40 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
36 years.
Not a single person heard this plan and was like, where are the balloons gonna go?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. No one thought about where all of that shit would end up.
It sounds like it would look really cool, but then what do the balloons just float off into space? Or yeah, they'll just keep going into space. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I can't believe no one had that thought.
Yeah, it is insane.
You guys want to try to beat the record?
1.5000001 million balloons. We'll do it over the ocean. No one cares about the ocean.
Let's do 10 times as much. 10 million balloons.
Yeah.
I also like that they were all filled by hand, and there's videos of people just sitting under an unbelievable mass of balloons trapped in the world's largest net, just filling them, tying them, and then letting them go and hoping that they float straight up into the net of balloons.
And all for the sake of, like, they sold the balloons at $1 per balloon for charity. So at the end of this, they were only open to raise, like, at most minus all of the costs of getting it to actually happen. Like,
It's like $1.25 million.
Yeah.
I don't even know how much balloons cost. It might be less than $1 million they raised with all the costs of coordinating and stuff.
It was even less. Sorry, it was $1 for 2 balloons.
Oh no, man! Their total revenue before subtracting costs and stuff was $750,000 for this.
Yep.
That is just not even worth it to begin with.
Yep. It took 6 months
Gotta
to
be
prepare.
a more efficient way to raise money.
6 months.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for it, and I like how they say, but the balloons drifted back over the city. Like, oh, yeah, it would have been fine if they landed somewhere else. Oh, man, if only they landed on, like, the woods or the harmless woodland creatures or something.
Well, you know what they did is before they started, they all said a collective prayer to the wind god to take those balloons over to Michigan and torture those idiots.
Yeah, it's funny because not only did the airport have to shut down the runway for half an hour after balloons started to land there without calling the air traffic control tower, and like the nerve of them. But there were also car crashes reported as, quote, drivers swerved to avoid slow motion blizzards of multicolored orbs or took their eyes off the road to gawk at the overhead spectacle.
This is it. There was a guy that was standing around who got covered in, like, the balloon debris, and he became whale debris guy.
He just was waiting for
This was
this
his
moment.
awakening.
You're like, I'll never relive the glory of those whale days.
Oh my god. The only way that this may have been worse is if they literally brought in the National Guard to aim all their AA guns and any weapon they had up at the skies, like, let the balloons have their fun. After 10 minutes, take them down.
Nothing better than firing bullets up into the air. Surely they won't land anywhere else.
Can't have balloons up there. We gotta shoot those boys back out of the sky after everyone's had their, moment.
1.4 million balloons and 3 million bullets, because we didn't have the best sharpshooters.
Oh yeah, well you kind of just spray up there and hope you hit some.
That's what I do anyway.
What a beautiful event.
I already knew that this happened, but every time I think about it, I'm still completely flabbergasted because the consequences that happened are so painfully obvious.
You'd think. You would think.
I love the idea that they're actually just Ohio State fans trying to punish Michigan, and they're like, OH! And then the balloons come straight down. Oh no!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty dumb mistake.
Yep.
That's a bad failure.
Yeah.
Well, I do gotta say, shout out to Wikipedia and Men's Journal for helping me find my articles. I don't know how sourcing works, but I found all of mine from The Art of the Fail, the 11 worst failures in history. So this last one is a story you're all familiar with. I called it Shit Where's the Key. But everybody knows the story of the Titanic, right?
Sure.
Big boat, unsinkable, hit iceberg, sink. Whoops.
And Leonardo DiCaprio died because that door was not big enough.
So one of the theories as to what went wrong, and it's not just a theory, there's like factual evidence supporting it. It might not have made the biggest difference, but it also could have. The two guys in the crow's nest did not have access to binoculars to help them look for icebergs. And one of the reasons for that was originally there was a man named David Blair who was hired to be one of the men in the crow's nest. And a couple of days before the Titanic was going to set sail, they actually replaced him and the other dude. They got some other guys in that apparently had more experience, and they're like, okay, these guys have been on big ships before. before. They got more experience, so we're going to put them in there. And David was kind of sad. He wrote a postcard to his sister-in-law, like, oh man, I was really excited to be on the Titanic, but now I'm not going to get to do it, but that's okay. The problem is, David here, also called Davy, good old Davy, had a key to a box in the crow's nest where the binoculars were stored. And Davy did not give the key back. He forgot, and he took the key with him. So the dudes in the crow's nest trying to find binoculars couldn't find any, and also didn't have a key to that locked box that who knows what the hell was in there. Turns out that's where those binoculars were. That key's actually on display now and is well known as being the key that could have saved the Titanic.
Oops.
Wait, so that guy survived and then like in the lifeboats was like, oh.
He wasn't on it. They demoted him and he was no longer on the boat at all.
I'm a good listener.
Yeah.
Well, that's not great.
On April 9th, he left the Titanic with the key, and I think the boat set sail a couple days later, because it was April 14th is when it sunk, so I don't know exactly when it started the voyage, but he was not on the boat. His postcard to his sister, he wrote, "This is a magnificent ship. I feel very disappointed I'm not to make her first voyage." And yeah, he had the key, and I think someone, like one of his descendants, later donated it to like a museum or something to be put on display, the key to the crow's nest.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops. Kind of a big thing, because yeah, I think binoculars have been like a pretty well mentioned thing as to like, couldn't they have seen the iceberg through the binoculars? Because, you know, binoculars, those things that have been basically around since the 1600s in one form or another. You'd think on a big boat looking for icebergs, maybe you give the guys up top in the crow's nest access to something to look for them.
No.
Rather than just putting their hand over their eyes in the dark like, I see those Leonardo's making out down there, but man, oh man, I sure can't see shit past that.
I mean, could you tear your eyes away? Honestly, could you?
From those buns? No.
I'm sorry, were they looking all the way into the shipping area? What's that called? The car where they do it.
Well, haven't you seen the movie, silly? After they fuck in the car, they go running and skipping up on the deck, holding hands and being like,
you were saying you could see his bones.
Sex.
Well, you don't know what they did. There's no telling what actually happened there.
Right, no, it's unclear. That's true.
Unclear.
Well, they probably just hung out and talked in the car.
Well, we could just ask him. Leonardo, we know you're a big fan of Distractible. What happened on the Titanic?
Get back to us in the subreddit.
That.
Well, it's hard to argue that sinking the Titanic on purpose is not a pretty bad mistake.
He was so bitter that he couldn't be in the crow's nest. He intentionally took the keys. Like, good luck spotting icebergs without this, bitches.
This is my souvenir. I'm keeping it.
You no keep, I keep.
God, there's so many good stories. I thought I was going to struggle with this one, but man, there's so many good ones. I don't even know if I picked the best ones.
Humanity likes to make mistakes, and especially big ones with obvious consequences, I guess. I don't know how that all happened, but...
You'd think they'd be obvious, but turns out, no.
Yeah, no, it's just me with my hindsight being all 2020. Just Monday morning quarterbacking these guys. It's not fair. Who would have known so many balloons would be such a problem? All right. Well, I suppose I need to pick a winner then, don't I?
Well, you don't have to, I suppose.
I carefully kept track.
You can always pick the loser.
I could do that. I carefully kept track of all the points that you all both accrued over the course of this episode. Thank you for your research and submissions. I do appreciate it. I will say you both had some strong stories. And while I think it was close, I think I know who the winner is. Which means that I know who the loser is. And the loser of today's episode is clearly Mark.
Back on top, baby.
It honestly was close because I liked all the stories. I think the main thing, unfortunately for you, Mark, is I knew about the whale and I knew about the balloon fest.
I felt like we've talked about the whale one before, haven't we?
Those are excellent tales of massive screw ups and failures. But I think the excitement of them was undercut that I had just sort of heard both of them before. But
that's fair. I get that. I get it.
They were good stories.
I hadn't heard the balloon one before. That was new for me.
The Google barges is excellent, and I love that. But Wade wins. Do you have a winner's speech, Wade?
Look, humanity has made a lot of big mistakes through the years. It's true. And Bob might have made one today, but it's too late now because I'm the winner.
All right.
Wait a minute. Hey, I think. Am I offended? Or are you offended?
I don't know.
The biggest mistake of all.
Only the future will know.
You have a loser's speech, Mark. How's it feel?
I feel the unfair something. I'm mad, but at least next time I don't have to come up with a topic.
I'm mad.
No.
Well, take that, Wade. That's what you get for winning.
Yeah.
You guys have any ideas for a topic for the next one?
Nope.
Poop?
All right, you heard it here first.
If the next episode's not about poop, you're a liar. Thank you.
It's true, and I might be.
You might be. Thank you, listeners, for listening once again to the greatest podcast you've ever listened to, probably. Make sure that you follow Distractible or subscribe or whatever thing you listen to this on or in, whichever is the right word. Hit the plus sign or the check mark or the subscribe button or all that stuff, because it comes out every Monday and you don't want to miss it. And you're always as good or better than this episode was, except for that one, which is just a terrible piece of shit.
We don't talk about that one.
Not surprisingly, we talk about it all the time, and I love it. You can find Mark at Markiplier on the internet in internet places, and Wade is Lord Minion 777 or Minion 777 if you want to find him on Twitch. I am Meisker. I'm now streaming on Twitch again, so if you haven't seen that, you come watch or whatever, but you'll never spell it, so good luck. That is all for today's episode. Like we always say when this thing ends,
Merch.
I don't like plugging the merch, okay?
As we always say, merch.
As we always say, you better go to store.distractible.com and buy some shit.
We're a little split here about the merch. 70-30, 50-50. It's hard to tell.
Nah, I'm a failure. Fine, whatever. That's it.
All right.
Podcast out.